Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenas noches a todos y todas. Bienvenidos al Meetup número 11 de AI México, el Meetup más famoso del mundo en inteligencia artificial, trayendo ustedes celebridades de la inteligencia artificial, de la industria y del mundo, real el día de hoy. Nuestro evento será llevado a cabo en inglés el día de hoy porque traemos a celebridades internacionales. Pronto será traducido y puesto en línea para el goce de aquellos que no pueden acompañarnos el día de hoy en inglés. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the AI Mexico world famous AI Meetup, brought to you as a joint collaboration with Deep Learning AI. We wish all of you joining us in good health. Our thoughts are with all of you. And if at any time you believe that our community, our staff, or myself can be of any help in any matter, personal or for your business, please remember that we are here to help you and that the value of our community is such that we're family. So please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are holding tonight's event online to protect your health. And while at the same time, we are bringing you an event to serve a great purpose, which is, of course, helping all of you build a business around AI. During the event, remember to please participate in our survey. We will be displaying a QR code, and we would appreciate you fill it out and help us bring a better service to you every month. Tonight, we will speak with CEOs from around the globe that will be speaking about their success, about their vision, about their product, and about what it will take people like you, people like us, serve a better purpose in this AI opportunity, which is historic, and especially for countries like Mexico and other emerging economies. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. We have in our panel tonight, we have Mr. William Chomley from Imager. We have Dr. Alex Ross from Blue Sky Corporation. And we also have Mr. Avery Spencer, CEO of Blue Sky Corporation. Thank you for joining us and making time in your busy schedule to be with our group. We know you're really busy, and we appreciate your time. Now, a little bit about the story about our relationship. I've spoken and met these great men doing great work in the past. William, I think. It was about maybe 3 years ago or so that you and I spoke, and I think Blue Sky Corporation and I we've been speaking for quite some time because we were involved in projects of similar type of technologies, and we've shared ideas and shared passions for what we do, and just recently we've started working together on a new endeavors of your company. So basically, what we would like to have you guys share with us tonight is perhaps complexities, experiences, your vision for your products, and secrets of success, perhaps if there are such, and help us make the most we can out of this fourth industrial revolution, which I keep saying it all the time. It's more than a technological revolution. It's probably a human revolution. So again, thanks a lot for joining us. And I don't know, can we start with you, Mr. Chomley? Can you tell us a little about what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So thank you for having me on. Imager is a artificial intelligence company. We're based out of New Zealand. We have offices in the US, Japan, which is where I currently am, and Auckland. Yeah. Oh, sure thing. So we have offices in New Zealand, Japan, and the US. We have a team at the moment of roughly around 40. And our product is a product called Smart Cart. And Smart Cart leverages artificial intelligence inside a supermarket trolley that gives retailers the ability to remove their checkouts from their supermarkets.
Okay, so when you and I spoke a few years ago, I think you already had a good idea of how this is going to work. Can you tell us what were there any paradigm shifts or any complexities associated with your initial thoughts? Because I think a lot of us when we launch ideas with products and stuff, it's like the initial prototype or the initial proof of concept shifts quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, when I first started, I was I mean, I don't have an engineering background. My background's actually in private equity. And so not really understanding the technological barriers of AI was probably took me a lot longer to get this product up and running than maybe it should have in the early stages. But there was a paradigm shift in terms of how I was thinking about how AI was going to play a role. If you think of a supermarket cart or trolley, my initial idea was just to have a camera looking straight down into the trolley. So I was picking up all of the products as they went in and out. I guess what that did is it introduced a huge amount of things like motion blur, event detection was a big problem. Constantly moving products was an issue, multiple products. Again, having to train backgrounds was a huge issue. And so what we did is we confined cameras actually inside the cart so that we could make sure that we were only ever looking at a background that we determined. And, by doing that, we have overcome a large number of complexities just from the vision system. But, again, things like building the database of all the retailers' products, we've had to constantly change our approach there. We now have a model that works. We can build a database very quickly. So there has been a huge amount of iterative learning as we've gone along. We are launching in market right now, so it will be live in Japan starting next week if we can get access to the supermarket. But yeah, there's been a lot of learnings along the way, and obviously, the biggest component is bringing the cost of the trolley down.
Right. And saying that you don't come from an engineering background, I think that's very particular. I mean, here in Mexico, people would probably expect somebody who's developing a product like yours to be an engineer or probably to have a PhD in computer vision. And I think that's probably not a hard requirement. And I think our teams have to be really diverse. But how did you come up with a good team to help you? Because that's probably a challenging problem, right? I mean, I think you interviewed me to be part of your team, but that didn't work out, right? But I think how did you choose the right human capital?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a real benefit in not having an engineering background, right? Especially running a company. My background is obviously in numbers, structural growth, which, again, lends its hand to helping build a sustainable business. It also allows you to think about problems differently, right? I believe that AI inside a product should make up anywhere between kind of 60 to 70%. The rest should be, either product or operational features, because AI is not going to be able to do it all. And if you get stuck in that trap, basically, you're never going to have a product that can go to market, right? So how did I find the right people to come and work for me? I mean, I searched the world. I approached as many people as I could that were working in this field. I read a lot of peer-reviewed journals. I wrote to them. My first employee, he moved from the United States. He was trying to be poached by Amazon for their Go solution at the time. He moved with his wife down to New Zealand. Our head of engineering was the director at Oculus for Facebook. And so, I mean, for me, it comes down to putting a big vision around what it is we're trying to create. I think one of the great things about engineers is that they love working on hard problems that are going to change the world, right? And this is a hard problem that is going to change the world. And so, putting a good story around that, and providing, strong incentive to come down, things like, equity capital in my company has all played a part. Okay, great. Now this is something that we should jump back on. You said something about it's going to change the world. So think about that for a few minutes. Let me go around with my other buddies here from Blue Sky, but I'm going to touch back on that same question. How is that going to change the world? And because we all think we are all changing the world in some sense, but how can we make our work be as meaningful as people like you are making it? So let me now think about that for a while. Let me jump back to my friends Blue Sky here. How are you, Avery? How's everything going? Welcome.
Hey, Adrian. Can you see me?
I can see you very well. Thank you.
Cool. Things are going all right for us. The recent shutdown for everything in the United States has actually probably been one of the most fun times for me as an introvert. And we have like a couple of developers on our team that are introverts, so we've had a fun time for like the past 1 to 2 months. But where would you like me to start exactly?
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing. I think Blue Sky and I, we've been in touch for a while now. Even people like you've even spoken to, like a really good friend of mine who's Sergio Reyes, who's a great C++ developer, somebody who I really look up to. I think we spoke about making video searchable and clickable and things like that. Can you tell us about that part of the business that you're working around, and any part of the multi-sensory approach of video search that you work on, and how's that changing our lives, or how will that change our lives? How hard is it to come up with good engineers?
How hard is it to come up with what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Good engineers. It's like a good engineers, a good team. What makes a good team? I think us, like in AI Mexico, we're really fighting for the secret sauce. Of what is it that I have to have in my bag of tricks to be able to be be given a chance to work on a challenging issue or challenging problem like yours, or like William Chomley's, or like really hard stuff. What do you look for in an engineer?
Yeah, so probably the same thing. I at least look some qualities in myself. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but so something that is so endearing to somebody that I can see their passion in it, that they can speak about it passionately, even if it's not an idea that relates to something I want to build. I'm usually going to help them do it. Over time, I will build connections that way. So I basically build favors that way. And those friends, who are mostly engineers, tend to enjoy the ideas that I end up getting myself into. So it's not too hard to keep them around once they're around at all.
Okay.
But even outside of that, there are character traits for team members that I think are extremely important. One is the ability to communicate as if the other person does not know any subject matter expertise, but at the same time not arrogant enough that they feel as if you're belittling them. That's a dangerous line to try and straddle, but the better you can get as a team, the more easy you can get any type of development work actually completed quickly that way, by that communication. And then I can answer the other part in the business if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have what I like to call a multi-sensory search engine. It's the ability to take video and or audio, map them against each other, and make them queryable through something that's becoming a bit popularized now, like knowledge graphs. But the idea being that regardless of the video itself, the content in the video, the audio itself, the content in the audio, we want to make it searchable with metadata associated. So right now, our main use case is the ability for a person to see something on television or on their laptop, and we provide a type of X-ray search. So when they take a picture of something that's in playback in real time, given that all the objects, products, et cetera, that want to be pushed for merchandise are already tagged, which is also the other tool we have, then the consumer can take out their device, use their camera and or their mic to catch either a picture or an audio snippet, and we'll return to them search results the same way Google returns search results based upon a text search.
Okay. And what about this AI era? One thing that is always is in my mind is what about the data? Who owns the data? Who should own data? And what do you do with the data? And why? How would me allowing you to search through my information or my data help me? Because I see the use of it, right? I see the business case. But I'm thinking about how would your vision be a vision that I can actually be a fan of? I think today we as businesses, we're not here to sell products. I think we build brands, and we build brands that have fans, right? We're dealing with very highly educated, highly documented customers and having those customers be in our fan base. I think they ask a lot of questions, right? And I think this would be like a total question. It's like, how would you be different in making my information mine, but still be useful?
Sure. So there's a few ways. It depends on the user. For the content creator, so let's say anybody that's a YouTube creator wants to upload videos to YouTube, wants to tag the items that they want to push for personal merchandise, they can get data on their consumer, what they like to purchase, when they like to purchase, what videos they can get an economic model from because they know what demographics they're being pushed to. So it helps the person trying to sell things, but it doesn't necessarily need to be things like just clothing or products that are less valuable. If it's someone that's a good cook and during this time there's access to good recipes that could be curated, possibly through an Amazon grocery system or Instacart from the videos you're watching on television, that could also be a way. But for the consumer, what I would like to see, and we're going to have to figure out, it's going to be one of the pain points, but for a good reason, is how we can utilize people's consumer data to drive some discount or incentive back to them. Rather than selling it without any of their know-how or in a way that they can't get a direct benefit from, it'd be great if I purchase a lot of Nike products, then I can also get a discount on Nike products anytime I take one of those pictures or capture one of those audio snippets, or maybe even localized business. Maybe we can make a difference there.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. All right, and think about the same thing that I asked William Chomley. Is like, how are you changing the world? It's like I think here we here in Mexico we always like saying that everybody wants to be heroes, right? And we all want an opportunity to be heroes. And I think AI, the AI age is a great opportunity to become heroes, right? So I think we're not really just looking to do great business, but we're looking to do great service. And so think about that, and I'll come back to you. It's like, how is Blue Sky going to make themselves heroes in this opportunity? So let me go with Dr. Alex Ross. Alex, how are you? Good to have you on board tonight. And let me start by asking one thing that I've been intrigued by is, why are you Alex Tuna Fish Ross?
That was the invention of my now ex-colleague Avery Spencer, who's sitting next to me.
Okay.
How did that make it on here?
How did I make it on there?
I have 3 master's degrees. He just got his doctorate. I told him I'll never call him specifically, I can't even say it now, Dr. Tunafish Ross. Just the first, in the last word there until I get my own doctorate. So I don't know how that made it though.
How about those Lakers? Just to add, guys, I'm in England right now. It's about 2:30 in the morning, so I kind of lose coherence after about midnight, to be frank with you. So I can't be with you for the entirety of this journey tonight. But I just wanted to add to what William was saying. I mean, I don't have a background in engineering either, and when I started off Blue Sky, it was all came down to ideas. Basically, my PhD is in business model optimization for media companies, and I've spent many years working in the film industry. And I always thought, wouldn't it be great to create a correlation between product on the screen and people's interest in that product, not just as a sort of hyper form of product placement, but from when you're talking about heroes. And I want to sort of maybe explore that arena in terms of, what we can possibly do for education, because kids these days less and less really want to read books. They want, to be taught by video. But video is a very one-dimensional thing, right? You can stop it, you can fast forward, you can rewind, you can't do a whole lot with it. Now, if you're like a little girl who's about, 11 years old, and she sees this video about World War I, she couldn't care less about guns or the uniforms, but she's really interested in the horses. Using our technology can make the horse act as a gateway, as an access point for her to find out a lot more about what specifically interests her. So she can basically use her device of choice, by using our platform, connect with that point of interest, click through, and not spend the rest of that, documentary, whatever the kid is watching, getting bored to tears, but just making a very specific learning experience so the kid gets 23 minutes of what is of real interest to the kid. So that's one of the things that we're exploring. It's one of the things we've discussed as well, and there's a lot of support in the education industry, especially now when everyone's having to work from home, to enhance the capacity of video to become a much more effective, and we like to think two-dimensional teaching tool. And we're really interested by applying artificial intelligence to this process to see where it can take us. So it's really exciting times for us at Blue Sky.
You're talking about your application for education. I think that's a great possibility, right? And a great opportunity. In Mexico, for instance, we have an issue where we think, at least us that are involved in AI, we think with systems like yours allow us to train specific for the cultural needs of specific peoples in Mexico. Let's say an indigenous group that needs to have the education experience tailored to their group. Are you planning to allow that, or how can we for instance, as AI Mexico, facilitate the integration of technology like yours in a way that can just do a soft landing culturally into our schools, into our communities, and really enrich us, enrich the whole experience culturally and technologically in a way that we can benefit from it. I think Mexico has a problem in the sense that we're addicted to technology, but not necessarily knowledgeable of technology, right? So we got to kind of change that, and I think that's the things that we are concentrated on. Trying to change a little bit of that, but I think that a lot of these technologies need to have give us the ability to plug into it and tailor the way it works, so it would benefit the communities that we want to help benefit from. So
Sure.
Are you foresee anything like that happening?
Yeah, I mean, what is so cool about this technology is that it's very malleable. So you can use it, be it in education, you can come up with a tailor-made sort of solution to your needs. So you're talking about cultural sort of being, sensitive or appropriate or, functional, and absolutely, because I mean, don't forget, we're dealing with images. Images really, they transcend words. I mean, if you show an image to somebody globally, if it's a shoe, if it's a boot, if it's a jacket, if it's a people get it. It's, you don't have to translate it in 16 languages for people to get what the image is about. So absolutely, yeah. I mean, it can be totally tailored to, I mean, what we want to do is you really release, in some shape or other, this educational sort of version of our technology for really to people apply it to their own needs. And we don't want to be, big brother, and then everybody has to come through us to, make their, educational narrative relevant. We want to be able to release it to people and help them on their journey. And then, you write your own book, you make your own movie, you tell your own story, but,
right.
We'll be there to help you do that. But we're not kind of, control freaks that, whatever you want to do, it has to come from Blue Sky's, management, C-suite. It's just not the kind of company we are.
Okay, great. So okay, so that's good to hear. Now one thing that I see here is that I try to have the people who I know that are doing things that I think are really relevant, which are you guys. And one thing that catches me a little bit by surprise right now is that where none of you guys are like have a PhD in computer vision. So our audience actually is probably thinking, what are my chances of being able to have an entrepreneurship or my idea be built if I'm not an engineer? And I think that's something that we always speak about like I write in Quora, for instance, a lot, and people ask me like, listen, I'm a chef. I remember some guy asking me, I'm a chef, but I'm really intrigued with AI and I want to get involved. Do you think I should? And I said, of course, because since AI will impact everybody, I think we all need to be involved. Because if not, it's going to be like 99.99% of the people who build this technology are going to build it to either control or to do what they think it's the best thing for the rest of the people, right? So how would we help people who are not engineers or people who are capable people but are just don't have that technology background to build a product get started? How did you guys get started with this? But let me come back to that after we ask William Chomley how he's going to change the world. And I'll tell you something. It will change my world if I can. I'm always being pushed towards going to the self-checkout line, but it takes me longer to use the checkout line because the lady from the cash register always comes and helps me, and I don't know what would happen if I lose touch of the human experience. But if is that an issue or is it just me? Because my wife says it's me, right? So I want to hear from you. Are we all going to be used to this? Are we going to be asking? Are we going to be saying, "Thank God for Imager and William Chomley for this thing because this thing makes my life just better"? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you have a look at Amazon, the world's largest e-commerce giant, they see brick and mortar supermarkets as a very attractive industry, which is why they're opening up checkoutless supermarkets. We're engaged with a large majority of the world's retailers, all who want to remove the point of sale, right? So are we going to change the world? Absolutely, with this technology. It's a redundant kind of area in a supermarket. It employs people that it could be redistributed throughout the store to help with things like packing, restocking, back office. So, for us, we position this that we are redistributing the labor, not removing it altogether. If you have a look at our most recent funding round, for example, the world's largest point of sale manufacturer who provides all the cashier machines took a stake in our company to the tune of 14 million. And the reason being is because they see that this is the evolution of supermarkets now. So, we certainly believe that we're well positioned to change the world of grocery.
Okay, awesome. And you think the people who will be, it's always a matter of concern, I think. And I'll tell you what happens in Mexico, or at least here in Ensenada. I think that when you land technology like this, and this is what kind of IAM Mexico's philosophy is you should land the technology for the benefit of society, but in order to do that right, you have to do it in a sense that you involve education, you involve a government, you involve society, and we make sure that shifts in people's lives are to increase their or give them more freedom, right? I think AI should be equal to freedom, right? Freedom to do more creative things, freedom to do what you want to do, freedom to be at home with your kids and your wife and enjoy life. So one thing that I see done here in Mexico that is probably not the best way right now is we used to have people who would pack your groceries, right? And many years ago, we used to be kids who used to go like maybe after school and used to pack groceries for you for a few pesos, but then they outlawed that, of course, and now they used to have these retired gentlemen and women pack your bags, and you would walk out with your bags and give them a tip. That's fine. But now a new law came in where you would not that no plastic bags would be given at the grocery store. So now you have people. You have the same packers there because nobody has the heart to say them go home. So what they do is they just hug your groceries and they push them towards you. You put them in your own bag or you take them out with your hands and you still give them a tip. So there, people and I put that as an example of how technology or new measures to protect the environment or whatever can can displace people from what they know what to do, and leave them at a very vulnerable place, right? So how can we manage the displaced capacities of people, or the displaced people, to make them grow and make them feel that AI was something that came to their lives and benefited them greatly? I think that's what we need to have people feel, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the markets that we go into, right now I'm in Japan. Japan's got an aging society, right? So even staffing their supermarkets is incredibly hard. When you have a look at the staff that they do have, they work between 1 to 3 hours because they are elderly. And so, this is not about removing jobs. It's actually about making stores more efficient. And retailers actually can't staff their supermarkets here in Japan because they can't find the labor. So this is slightly different in, if you take America, for example, where a technology like this is a luxury, right? It's a want, it's not a need. In the US, a large number of low-income earners are checkout workers, for example, whereas here in Japan, they simply can't even staff their supermarket. So this is more of it's a survival tool to keep their stores open. When I look at how AI is going to impact the world, I believe that it is the government's responsibility to protect people, not jobs. So things like re-education is very important because, tools like AI, they're never going to completely take over, right? They still are going to require human intervention.
Right.
I believe that they just make people more informed. So it's about teaching them to work in parallel alongside it, as opposed to a tool that's going to remove everything and take over.
Right. All right. Now, back with you, Avery. I'd like to ask you one thing. We can jump on the question on the topic of how are you going to change the world? Because I see I see Imager. People can identify with that very very easily, right? Because I think when I spoke about the Imager product, it's of course my wife immediately said, it's like, of course, because you don't go do the shopping. I see like this could change everything, So I see, of course I know, I said, but how would multisensory search impact my 7-year-old? And because he actually he's during lockdown he's playing Fortnite all day, right? So he finishes school work like really fast. So I don't know how, but he's done with like his week's schoolwork by Wednesday, and he plays Fortnite all day, right? So how can we make people like him be involved in things or search through YouTube, because he loves YouTube. Search through YouTube and have an experience that I can for sure guarantee that it's enriching his abilities, that it's enriching him as a human being, rather than just an spectator of weird things that happen on YouTube, because sometimes he comes up with a few things, like he says things that are just weird, and I'm like, where did you hear that? And it's like YouTube, it's like, and I know it's all part of what life is, right? But how can we see your technology change the world in the sense that I can change it for good, not just for enriching it with whatever life is out there, but enriching it for whatever curiosity and imagination should take my kid, for instance.
How far out in the future do you want me to take you on this journey?
Well, I think we love hearing things. How will life be in 10 years? But for instance, I think the situation that we live in right now with coronavirus is, I want to know how my life is going to change in a year. What's going to happen when the next outbreak comes, and I have to be locked down with my family, and I have to come up with a way to first put food on the table. Second, keep control of the business, and keep the people who I help feed their families employed, and at the same time have the confidence that the family is going to keep being educated, and that after a year of being locked down, maybe we're going to jump back into reality, and we're not going to be losing track of civilization. That we're still on track and we're as strong as ever. I don't want to think that being locked down is wasted time. I want to make sure that we make the most out of this experience. How would Blue Sky help me do that?
So I'll give you the short term and the long term. Try to do it in a short way. Short term, right now you can't really search YouTube extremely well. So as an example, when I was going through one of my degrees is a neuroscience degree and a bioengineering background. Whenever I was going through that degree, there's not an incredible amount of YouTube videos available for all the subject matter expertise in neuroscience, or at least there wasn't 3 or 4 years ago. And anything that was there was usually in lecture format, so 1, 2, 3 hours. But I don't need 3 hours. I need to learn specific terms relative to the test I have to take in a few days. So in the idea of using video, everything that's possibly available instructional-wise on YouTube or anywhere else, if you could search it specific to what you needed to watch versus the 70% of things you don't, that's one helpful way. For the super long term, actually probably more like 3 or 4 years, even though it sounds sci-fi. If anyone didn't catch it this morning, Neuroscience as a Service was released by Kernel, which is Brian Johnson's company. He was a former founder of Braintree, it's a payments company. Kernel is basically the matrix. It plugs into your central nervous system. If you happen to have caught that this morning, there's 2 specific services they're offering so far. One in which teaches you how to spell through a brain-computer interface, and the other one that allows you to choose audio snippets to learn from them over time, possibly to learn a new language or correct, speech impediments, things like this. Well, we happen to have the engine to support something like that. My background in neuroscience would enable us to go after biomedical devices as well if we really wanted to. So a few years out, learning-wise, could change quite a bit.
So biology, a biological interface, you think it's inevitable for doing advancements for humanity? Do you see that as a reality? Do you see us as I think AI is here to augment capabilities of men and women, not replace them. Do you think it's going to augment them in a way that we're going to need to biologically connect to it?
I think there's a number of ways the species needs to change psychologically to go away from lower forms of logic into higher order forms of logic. Things like, how do you manifest changes that solve for planetary issues versus watching Modern Family? Once we can redirect those things, which could possibly come as a result of, yes, brain-computer interfaces, if they were trying to teach you how to learn various skill sets that are otherwise difficult to experience, like empathy. When you get to the point of which you can connect into someone's brain, you can tweak their biochemicals, and if you can tweak their biochemicals through electricity, you can cause them to feel. So in a few years, we might be able to send SMS text messages the same way, except you can experience them sensory experience-wise. We're starting right now with just letters. It's like relearning the alphabet.
Wow. Yeah, I get it. Dr. Alex Ross, I think, how did you meet Avery? Is this a
we were
first of all, yeah.
We were introduced to a mutual friend a few years ago in Dallas, and we have kind of particularly creative minds, and there's probably another adjective I'm looking for in terms of sort of we challenge the status quo because we enjoy doing so, and so we kind of connected over that, and started gradually to work together and put the company together, but. I just wanted to go back to something just also to clarify. I don't want to give the impression that we're sort of purely altruistic sort of entity out to change the world. I mean, the reality of it is that we have investors, and we're under considerable pressure to one way or another enhance value and show profits. So when you talk about changing the world, I'll be frank with you, we like to do that. We do it in-house, and it really motivates us. But at the same time, it scares the crap out of a lot of investors. So from their perspective, they're more into us sort of enhancing the status quo rather than tearing it out and replacing it. I mean, it's just amazing how limited perspective some of the VC types that we've pitched to over the years, not the years, recently, how limited perspective they are in terms of understanding our vision. So at the end of the day, I just want to make sure we're not sort of describing ourselves in a sort of skewed light. We are very much a company. We have technological goals. We've targets that we have reached. We have basically things work. We're very interested in the AI arena because it allows us to go into completely new directions and retool a number of things as we go along and make things a lot more interesting and more relevant to society and things going. But we also have to be responsive to our investors in terms of where they want us to go, and also we have to be realistic in terms of what we need to do in order to raise funds to grow the company and develop and so on and so forth. So that's the reality of it. We have to factor in as well. So yes, education is something we're very interested in, but our core business model at this stage is pretty much very likely going to be a form of enhanced product placement in film and television. And you're talking about reasons for getting to what we're doing, and one of my reasons is, I'll be frank with you, I really hate advertising. I think it's a colossal waste of resources globally. And I always thought, wouldn't it be interesting that you think about it, most of the product that anybody would want to buy and sell is already in the film and television that the average American commits 5.5 hours a day to. So wouldn't it be great if people were just able to access the product that's already in the film and television and be able to, basically get rid of a lot of the advertising that is just, flooding our lives on a daily basis. So there's very complex, multiple component parts to this company, to what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay, it makes total sense. Now with I'm going to go with some questions from the audience, and I think one thing that has come up with when I spoke with people about you guys, about Imager and about Blue Sky, is they ask a few things, like saying how many times did you guys fail before doing this? How many times did you guys fail? That's one thing that people ask. Second is, how did you make it, or how are you making it a reality to not fail this time? Or do you see that as something that just may happen? But I see things that are just mature, right? I mean, I see like the Imager product, something that when I spoke with William a few years ago, it's like it was a great idea, right? I mean, and then I went to my dad, and see, my dad, I always get him involved. My dad's 89 years old, and he tells me whether he likes the technology or not, and he says like, you know what, don't do that, or yes, do that. And I showed him some. I think he sent me some collateral, William, and he says like, oh, that totally makes sense. I mean, that's useful stuff. Build. You should build that. Start building that. But and I think when you're able to get buy-in from people who don't know anything about technology, who don't give a crap about technology, but they're excited about you working on it, or they're excited about how that's going to impact them. I think that's where you see that things have value, right? I think we as engineers, we like working on hard stuff, but hard stuff doesn't really make sense sometimes, right? I mean, you got to solve problems for real people, and I think like you, William, you have a great product, a great idea that from the initial stages blew me away. And how are you converting that not into something that is a big possibility for many of us who start a business, that something goes wrong. That people in your industry don't give you that confidence because in my experience, it's like you go and install an AI system somewhere, and the first people you have to convince is the people who you're going to help with it, because they're the first ones who are going to say that thing's not going to work, and they're going to make it collapse, right? So how does one do that? Like with you guys, like you, William, how did you achieve that? People to say, I like that, and let's bring that in, and have the support of supermarkets and employees, and just sell from a single picture of the product. You see that, and people want to use it because it's a great idea. Yeah. How do you do that?
I think that a lot of people early on get stuck in a trap of trying to sell technology, right? And people don't really buy technology, in my opinion. People buy experiences. They buy products that they associate with. And they buy solutions, right, that are going to solve a problem for them. So for a retailer, I mean, if you can point to a line item on a balance sheet, for example, and tell them that this is going to decrease by 25%, and the ROI on this project is going to be X, or you are going to be able to drive more people to your store and increase revenue per basket. This is something tangible for them, right? For a customer, it's easy. For a customer, we give them time, right? And that is it. We don't give them any of these byproducts like recipes or store mapping or anything like that. We simply just give you time back, right? So you grab our card, you shop, and you just walk out. And for people, it's something that they can associate with, right? It's a real pain point for them. There's a very good, I guess, piece of writing by Harvard actually about the 9 times effect or 10 times effect, as Andy Grove likes to say. And basically consumers, they overvalue the existing benefits of an entrenched product by a factor of 3, right? While developers, so people inside your company, they overvalue the new benefits of their innovation by a factor of 3, right? So there's a resulting mismatch. And basically what it means is, innovators and consumers' desires and what consumers really want are very different, right? And so keeping it simple is very important. And then you talk about failure. Yeah. I mean, when I left my finance job, it took me about 18 months. I pitched 202 people before I got my first round of funding. It took me, I became a furniture removalist, and I was setting up a cafe from 4 a.m. So you have to get comfortable with hearing no. And then, how do I carry that through to my team? I mean, if my team is not failing, then they're not growing, and when you grow a business from kind of grassroots, you bring your entire team along for the ride, right? And so you start putting in things like organizational structure. Some people have never been leaders before, right? And so if they're not failing, if they're not making mistakes and leading their team, then we're not growing as an organization. All the way through to if we're not failing in research, we're not progressing the product forward. And so I think failure is a very, very important thing to become comfortable with. Otherwise, you don't grow from comfort zones. And that's a kind of a mantra that we've got in our business, which is why, we've achieved so much with such a little team. It's why we are now number 1 in the world compared to all our competitors. Look, I think it's a very important aspect to get comfortable with.
Okay, and let me go to. I'll come back to Blue Sky right now, but let me go to some questions from the audience. So okay, so Tony Zhang says, "Hi William, regarding the personnel question, congrats on gathering such a world-class team. How did you go about fundraising for the company's resources and their and their company, especially at the initial stages?"
Tony, excellent question. So when I first started, I mean, I had a pitch book, I had an idea, I had nothing really tangible. So to sum it up, I had nothing. And so how did I get someone to invest in basically an idea in a person? I mean, it was a lot of trying and failing. with every single pitch book that I had that I failed on, I would go back, I'd revisit my pitch book, I'd look at the information that I was missing, and I'd build that pitch back up again. I think that where we ended up succeeding was, not going the traditional venture capital route, which, I tried and it failed. I ended up going to some angel investors. So, I think that getting people in early for kind of anywhere between 10 to 50 grand in the early stages is fantastic. And, if you believe in your product, you don't need these big names behind you. You just need the money in the door so you can put the accelerator down. And so, we ended up raising in American dollars about 300,000 in our first round of funding. That was in 2017. To date now, we've raised about 15 million. And,
wow.
We are, it's that with every single kind of investment, right, you are looking at what's the next stage look like. So working back, right, being able to tell that story to the investor of, this is where your money gets you, right? This is the type of return you're going to get. And, being able to bring them on that journey, exactly how you're going to allocate the money, right? So that's really important.
Right. Great. Okay. Great. Let me see if I have another. Okay. Hi. This is general question. How can we encourage people to get involved with AI, having careers without a math background, or do you think we could manage it as a black box system? This is Edgar Torres. Thank you. Let me jump a little bit. Maybe on my take on that is that I consider that AI should be it's multidisciplinary. I think that it's multicultural. I think it should be democratized. I think it is one of the most powerful resources that we have here available to us right now that can really change the future of people. And I think the AI process in any team is enriched by the input of all types of people, right? You can have people who do all types of work get involved. I don't think somebody is going to have to, do the magic inside the black box. But I think somebody who is a scientist in AI can do very little by being a scientist in AI. It's got to be a scientist in AI that interacts with a whole bunch of people, right? That enrich the whole AI experience for a product, for a company, and for society, right? But anyway, what's your take on something like that? Let me start with Dr. Alex Ross.
I agree with you. I mean, it's kind of the, AI is kind of wild west at the moment, and it's pretty unstructured, and there's a lot of people trying to do a lot of different things, and that there's no sort of particular, from my perspective, coherence and what is going on. So, but it is a language. It's a tool. It's a way of communicating, and I think once people commit to specific directions more effectively, then I think things will start falling into place. But I think it's a particularly exciting time to be exploring AI as a solution to the plethora of problems we're having globally. And, there's certain leaders within these movements that are kind of making headway. But, at the moment, a lot of the emphasis seems to be on, using AI to generate a lot of revenue and make, certain people incredibly rich. So, then you see here of universities like, MIT and Cambridge in UK and Oxford, and they're doing, great things and, pushing the envelope at the same time. So it's hard to harness the whole thing at the moment. Just say, AI is doing this and AI is doing that, because, tomorrow's AI is going to be different to today's AI and then the people involved in it. But I welcome the fact that, it's not restricted to people who have computer vision or whatever, PhDs. I think it creates a more interesting debate, a more interesting narrative between people of different backgrounds who go on and seek solutions, come up with ideas, and also don't forget the role of the entrepreneur. Not everybody who's super competent with writing code or has multiple PhDs is going to be a good entrepreneur. when we're talking about failure, what is your definition of failure? Failure is about getting things wrong. We do it every day. So it's but it's usually entrepreneurial experience will show you ways of, picking yourself up again and motivating the team to get going again. And, if you cannot find a solution in a certain arena, find another way of getting from A to B to C. So but it's all very fluid at the moment, very malleable. But on that note, Adrian, I need to bid you. I need to sign off because it's 3:00 in the morning here, and I'm becoming less and less useful, less and less coherent. So, thanks so much for your time. Avery is more than able to cover all the bases. In fact, he'd probably do a better job than me anyway. So, on that note, thanks so much for your time, and I look forward to talking to you next.
All right. Take care, Alex. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Okay, so before we keep going, let me just put this out there. AI as the next human right. Think about that. Think about that. Is that are we on track with that? Could tampering the access to AI services, AI health, AI products, or AI education, would that be a violation of human rights? So think about that. We'll come back to that question in a little bit. And we have still more questions from viewers, and we'll come back to that. But let me just go back to the audience and say, por favor, recuerden, va a haber una encuesta que se va a presentar un código QR en la pantalla para que llenen, por favor, a la encuesta. Es importante que participen porque de ahí se nutre el contenido que tratamos de traer a ustedes todos los meses. Y recuerden que este Meetup, este tipo de eventos son para toda la comunidad, ¿no? Entonces, por favor, díganos qué necesitan saber ustedes, qué quieren ver, y de esta manera hacemos el trabajo que podemos para traerles ese recurso a ustedes, ¿no? Entonces, please, everybody, please participate in the survey. You will be seeing a QR code on your screen. Please use that to participate. Remember that this meetup is for you, and we bring the information and the resources to suit your particular needs. So please do that. Vamos a tomar un breve descanso. Regresamos en corto. Por favor, manténganse en línea, participen, y por favor, seguimos en un minuto. We'll come back after a short break. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us, and we'll be back soon. Thank you, William Chomley, and thank you, Avery Spencer. We'll be right back. Muy bien, gracias. Bueno, gracias a todos por acompañarnos en la noche de hoy. Estamos teniendo este Meetup número 12 en línea, guardando la sana distancia. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight in this Meetup. We will now continue with a question that I asked a little while ago, so you can ponder on. AI, should we see it as the new human right? Should we think about not allowing access to AI services, like in medicine, for instance, be tampering with people's human rights? Do you see that as something that makes sense? What do you think, William?
I mean, there is that ethical debate, right, about how AI plays a role. I mean, driverless cars are the ones that are facing it right now. It's the out of control trolley theory. Who does the car choose, right? Two kind of elderly or one young person? Should it be making decisions for us? I mean, that's hard. I think that as long as it's used in an ethically responsible way, which again, it kind of is a hard thing to enforce, given that you then need to check the ethics of the coder who is coding it. It becomes quite difficult. I mean, you reference medicine, for example. AI is doing some amazing things with cell research, for example. It's able to detect things like molds or cancerous cells much quicker using things like deep learning. Again, looking at X-rays, for example, there's a great company out of Australia that's doing that. So things around medicine and medical research. Sorry, sumimasen. Chotto mate onegaishimasu. Is that, sorry about that. Is that, yeah, it's, as long as there is a clear kind of ethical code that companies do abide by, then, I think that it's all right. Can you just excuse me for a second? I just need to go and deal to this.
Yeah, no problem. So take going from there, Avery. Sure. If we have a code, we can ensure that everything works ethically. But let's say having access to have, for instance, all types of citizens be able to be involved in the development of technology, I think would guarantee that the benefits can be spread out, right? So do you think that resonates with or that is should we consider that to be an issue right now? Because I've worked in the United States for many years, and I've been in teams where I am the only Mexican engineer, and I've been in places where I've been the only Mexican scientist in the team. And it's fine, right? But then I noticed that really that there were also no women in the team, and that minorities were not really represented very well in the teams that I've worked in the past. For some companies, most actually had very good programs to guarantee inclusion, diversity. How important is it to have a diverse team, especially like in your teams, and does that guarantee that will respect the human rights of underrepresented minorities, for instance?
I mean, I'm not sure if I can speak to all minorities, but at least in the context of what we're building, we are trying to make it possible, such as like a mechanical Turk system Amazon has, for basic things like annotation, labeling, to be a part of the normal workflow for people. Mm-hmm. So we call it right now our curator tool, but for a video editor, for somebody that does do, say, content creation, posts on YouTube or streaming on Twitch, we basically give them a video editing tool, just backed by some neural nets and deep learning aspects, some classification. But it's the same thing. We give them a bounding box. They can do all of the annotation themselves. And if we wanted, maybe we could target demographics that are undervalued currently, or not a part of many artificial intelligence and machine learning teams can at least do those very basic workflows and start understanding. On the other side of things, we also have, Alex isn't a part of it, but there's another startup we have as well that you'll learn about pretty soon anyway. It's called Bardo Vision, but that's actually handling the deep learning operations side of things. So from end to end, the data import, doesn't matter which data type, going into the cleaning effort, the experimentation, running hundreds of experiments at once, passing that on for serving or deploying. We handle a lot of it. So we're launching that probably in like 1 to 2 weeks. Website up today. But I think there's a number of ways there too. If you automate a lot of the entire workflow, you can start piecing people in as oversight. So our empathy can shine through wherever it needs to. But on the same topic, we still need to figure that out for ourselves too. Because right now, if an ant bites us and we can find the ant mound, what do we do to it? So we don't want to build that logic in for the future, really.
Right. Okay, good. Let me jump into a question of a really good friend of ours, Victor Garcia from Chain Solutions. So it says, how likely is it to have a manufacturing industry with an impact like the agricultural industry had back in the 1930s in the U.S. when manpower moved to factories and buildings? I think this would be like the new electrification thing, right? Is it really going to be causing this great shift in the things that we do? Because we have another question here where it says, AI is overhyped, right? How do we hear? How can we help? It says AI has been hyped up. People hear the term AI and expect crazy solutions. And how do you make sure this overly hyped idea doesn't negatively impact your business? This is from Ruben Alvarez Martinez. What strategies do you recommend? So I'll give you those two topics of, are we going to see a big shift like manufacturing happened in the 1930s in the U.S. and how do you make sure that the overhyped AI doesn't impact negatively businesses? So I don't know, you want to take a shot at that, William?
Yeah, sure. I guess, how does AI not negatively impact our business? I mean, we don't sell AI, right? AI is a component of our product. As I said, it makes up, let's say, between 60 to 80% of it. But I think that it's important to acknowledge its faults right now, and that's what we do. Is that when we sell this to supermarkets, we don't say that it's going to be the be all and the end all, right? It's maybe, let's say, 3 to 5 years away before it can do a number of things that we want it to do. But right now, it can do a large majority, but we still need humans to interact with it so that it can build up that we can build up that knowledge base inside our AI itself, so that people can become more comfortable with it, and we slowly kind of wean people away from interacting with it, so that it then becomes a product that is truly run by AI alone. So right now, I would say that acknowledging its faults, treating it like it's got training wheels on is very important, but also not making it the core competency of your solution is also very important, right? You need to be selling something much bigger, so that people, especially investors, are able to see things like a road to commercial productivity and productionization, so they can see a real business case at the end of that. I guess, is it going to be a big shift like manufacturing? Yeah, I would say it will be. You have a look right now, what's going on in the world, especially with COVID, right? The US just posted one of its largest job loss numbers ever. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a new normal for how people work. Companies are going to have to be more efficient, and they're not going to need quite the amount of people that they did to run their businesses that they think, right? So implementing tools to help streamlining process, automate, and start making people more, better informed to make quicker decisions, it is going to cause a paradigm shift, right? So I certainly think that there is going to be, a large movement.
Okay, great. And how about you, Avery? What's your take on that? Speaking with you, let me tell you, my experience speaking with you all the time is it's a very enriching experience because you always have these really cool concepts, right? I mean, you now with biology speaking, I think people are thinking, wow, these guys are at another level, right? And I think when you're building products that make sense to people, it's like you have to operate at another level, right? I mean, I think bringing value is really, really difficult because it's us thinking that your idea brings value. But anyway, so I appreciate a lot, like speaking with you and William, because you guys do bring value. And what's your take on this? Is it overhyped? Is it overhyped, and how can we make that not hurt us, or what's your take on
that? So I'll add to William's a little bit in that I agree completely. We need to be more about business models. What's the actual return, more than a hyped service that's just cool? At least maybe toward the 80-20 rule or something. 20% could be fun research, 80% should be somewhat serious right now. Or at least that's how I feel about it. In terms of, is it overly hyped? I think it's incorrectly hyped. Overly hyped, I don't really agree. There's a nonprofit that I'm working with. It's kind of stealth, but we're looking at a different way to manufacture 3D bioprinters. The same stuff that we created for Blue Sky is a search engine for any type of video. So if you take, say, of a bioprinter, a 3D bioprinter that's spitting out bio ink housed in what's called a hydrogel. So you can spit out what's called alginate housed in a hydrogel. If you have a camera, it's a specific camera, but a camera at the point of which the bio ink comes out of the nozzle and then the point at which it hits the Petri dish and then tracked over time for growth toward a sample. I mean, if you can automate a lot of that to turn it into something like a lights out, human not needed bioengineering device, then I don't think AI is hyped at all. It's just how we're able to incrementally apply it so that it's not only accurate, but specifically serving a business case that can help people. In the one I just mentioned, that would be for precision medicine. You could take in DNA and create something specific to the user.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So maybe the thought of it being hyped is by people who maybe don't understand it, right? And maybe don't see that because I mean many years ago when I started my journey in AI, so like I don't know 1990 something, when I took my first course on AI, things that are simple now, like semantic segmentation, or things that are simple like even the ImageNet stuff, right? That beats human ability to categorize images. That was kind of impossible, right? I mean, I was kind of a skeptic, and people would tell me like, Adrian, you're going into the wrong thing because there's never going to be a job for you if you go in AI. And God, were they wrong, right? I mean, and I'm happy they're wrong because I think we always, I think people always say like, but that piece is dangerous. But I think AI isn't dangerous, right? People are dangerous, and I think as long as there's good, a good amount of good people, we won't let the bad people do bad AI, right? So how can we make sure that technologies don't do bad AI? Let's say how can we help government not use it to oppress us, for instance? I debated this a little while ago with some people because they were saying like someplace in Mexico they were having some facial recognition technology to help consumers, and I put that into a big question mark, saying like how are they handling data? How are we ensuring they're not going to do anything weird with it? Because like in San Francisco, right? You can police cannot use your facial recognition systems for law enforcement things because it just doesn't favor minorities and it doesn't favor the poor. So so I would see, I would certainly see it as a problem to just adopt AI without knowing what it is, just because it's overhyped. People think it's great and it's just do it. What measures can we take as citizens to make sure that we adopt the technology, make the best use out of it, and not and stay away from it being used against us? And with that, I'd like to attach a question that Alex Lizama has about. He says he's really enjoying your commentaries, gentlemen. And he says the question is, how far away is it in years that you two guys would think that we will be building, making Industry 4.0 a reality? How do we educate ourselves on how to prepare for this milestone? That's a great question. You want to take a stab at that, William?
Yeah, I'm happy to start. Sure. I mean, if you have a look at any of the revolutions that have happened, you don't just wake up in the morning and it's kind of everything's changed, right? It's a progression into this. And so you have a look at the agricultural revolution, you have a look at the industrial revolution, they start to pick up momentum. And so I would say that, we are starting to enter into that now, if not maybe about a year ago. When will it fully take hold? I mean, I think that, that's a hard one, right? Because it's when it's adopted into every single facet of society, really. Healthcare all the way through to finance, medicine, to retail, to, I guess, to everything that we touch. So, I would say that it is starting now. You have a look at a lot of startups and companies now adopting it, and, reworking their workplace is something that a lot are starting to do to help re-educate their employees how to interact with it. How long is it until we see kind of full automation in society? I think it'll really start kicking off in the next 3 years. We now know that Moore's law it doesn't exist anymore, right?
Yeah.
We certainly experience that firsthand. The chips that we use, they come down in price. They half in price less than every 12 months. And so I would say that, within the next 3 years, we're going to see a real progression as the chips become more powerful. It becomes a lot cheaper. Cloud becomes cheaper. 5G comes into the market. We're doing something with 5G at the moment, and I think we're going to start seeing the world of connected devices really start taking off as countries start adopting this.
Right. How about you, Avery? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, it's a little bit broad of a question. It's probably going to happen over time, but in phases, the same way digital transformation happens to different market sectors. I was at AT&T for a few years working with Bell Labs, and where we were at that time, trying to help out the mothership that was AT&T, kind of bring in a lot of the new age concepts, not only from an educational standpoint for the entire workforce, but the new workforce, as well as how to track people internally for collaboration, what communication tools are most utilized or what could be utilized, how you track across what contacts are talking to each other the most, how you can influence that. And then you go to, so 4 years later, I'm at Citi working on global ATM transformation. It's the exact same thing, but it's an entirely different market. And then if you consider that context, we had to do regional and global trends research. Regionally, you have certain markets that are ahead of markets in the United States, certain ones that are behind. It'd be hard for me to say that. I think, was it compared to one of Nick Bostrom's books, the first person that takes off or the first company that takes off will happen so fast that it'll be almost impossible for anyone to catch up. So at some point it might be instantaneous or seem that way compared to what we know of space-time as it feels. Computers don't know space-time the way we do. So if they take off, that would be my long-winded, somewhat ambiguous answer.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Let me see if we have more questions here from the audience. Let me remind the audience that to please get involved with the survey. It's really important for us so we can know we can serve your needs better. And if you have any questions for our panelists, please let us know. Okay, let's see. We're talking here with Francisco. Okay, so oh, there you go. Okay. LabSat CISESE. So CISESE is the graduate school I went to, and they're 100 meters from our living room here, back here. So that they're actually writing, and they say, so first of all, hi LabSat CISESE. They say AI is considered the fourth industrial revolution so far. Previous industrial revolutions have failed to shorten global inequality between humans. They have probably made it larger. LabSat Sciences, what is your opinion? I mean, the panelists, how do you consider the inequality would prevail in the AI can somehow contribute to, let me repeat that again. What is your opinion? Do you consider this inequality will prevail, or the AI can somehow contribute to reducing it? There you go. And if so, how?
I'll jump in. I mean, if you have a look at this revolution that we're talking about, it's all about productivity gain, right? Efficiency and productivity. So, automation is going to mean lower prices and increased economic growth. For the developed country anyway. So, wages in these areas should rise, given that, we are now more efficient, we're getting more output per dollar. But yeah, I think that unfortunately with any of these, there is a portion of the population that does get left behind, right? Especially if we look at this in, a digital age, tend to be the elderly. I think that if countries are smart, they will start incorporating new syllabus in terms of, software and I guess computer science early on at schools, so that, we do avoid this big inequality gap. But yeah, there is going to have to be quite a large focus on re-education starting now for a number of countries. Otherwise, that gap will widen.
Are you, Avery?
Oh, sure. Actually, sorry, what was the specific question on this one again?
So it says, what is your opinion? And it will create inequalities, and how would you contribute? How would AI contribute to reducing it?
Reducing it. It's going to be probably more difficult than not reducing it. So yeah, at least some portion of the population is going to have access to brain-computer interfaces before the majority. Some's going to have access to genetic modification before the majority. Some of us might try to release that in open source to prevent, but even if we do so, you're still going to have bad actors take that otherwise intentionally positive material that would help humanity. And I think that will always exist, because in order to know what is good or what the opposite of bad is, you have to experience the bad to some extent or see somebody else go through it. I think it'll get actually much worse before it gets better in terms of equality. I hope it doesn't, but it's kind of hard not to see it that way. We've patterned that way so many times. And our logic, again, is built into everything that supports this thing, this connected entity thing. So if our logic holds true, then our gaps will continue to grow.
Yeah, and I think adding to that is I have a slide somewhere that I should probably post somewhere. Is that with every industrial revolution, the changes have not really all been bad. I mean, it's people work less. I mean, from the 1800s, people are working half of the hours they used to work. the value of the work that they do is skyrocketed. There's usually, children are not allowed to work anymore, so that's something positive. But one thing that we know is that that in order for the divide not to be huge, is that we got to get involved. I mean, countries like Mexico, I think this is a great opportunity for us, because we need to jump on the bandwagon of AI, and if we don't, I mean, there will be those who cannot do it because their processes are so much in problems that they need to fix those before they think about implementing the technology, right? So unfortunately, there will be those who stay behind. But if you're worried about staying behind, and you got to jump on the bandwagon, and it doesn't matter if it's hype or not, right? I mean, the thing is that it's a reality. It's and it's something that you have to jump on the best way you can. What's the I think with AI, I think businesses are being judged by different factors, right? I mean, I think no longer how profitable you are is something that really can say how successful you are, right? Nobody really wants to know about somebody who's making who's an trillionaire is. But let's think about what's your legacy. What will Imager and what will William Chomley be remembered for? Just because he made tons of money, because he changed the way we do shopping, because maybe shopping is more personal, because shopping is more. How are we going to remember you, William?
I mean, my driver is that I want to be able to inspire Kiwis that you can change the world from New Zealand. We're a small island nation of 4 million people. I guess that's one of the big drivers for our team, is that, we've got some pretty incredible companies that have come out of there. Xero is one, PushPay is one. I think that Imager will certainly be one of them. But from our company's perspective, we'll be responsible for changing supermarket retail and how the world shops. That is our legacy as a company, most certainly.
Okay, great. How about you, Avery?
Sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat the question again.
Yeah. What's the legacy of Blue Sky or Avery Spencer? What are you going to be remembered for? Is it what are you after? Is it going to be making a great economic success? Is it bringing technology to certain types of people? How are you going to be judged?
Blue Sky and I will be judged separately at some point, but at least for now, I think the goal would be to consumerism's more like a way for us to go about all the other things we would like to do to change a given market. Consumerism might be the lowest first hanging fruit for us to make easy money. Say if we were to just tie into Amazon's associate program and gain commissions. There's a number of different ways we can get very simple, easy money. We'll have a grant program. It's already started as of at least last weekend, hiring another one over the next few days. But we'll be going into the education platform that you mentioned earlier. I didn't know we were going to go on this call about it, but we're already writing a grant for it. So we'll reach out to you about that if you're interested. But and then we're writing a grant for a number of other things. One's the biological one for computer vision specific to bioengineering. Then there's also imaging for physicians, radiologists, etc. Because I do have an imaging background, medical as well. So once we can spread out to go after the things we really like, I think Blue Sky should rather be remembered for those things, helping physicians, helping smaller businesses sell their things, helping consumer data be more utilized at the human level versus the company level primarily. And then for me, I will end up working on brain-computer interfaces. I have before, I will again. I want to figure out how we can reduce our necessity for sleep, exercise, eating. I think it's all possible. And I know that we can open the window for learning because I've seen that too. You can tweak the parameters in the brain to open up the window to learn something in a much shorter time span. So I'll be doing that at some point. And this is still feeding into that learning mode.
Okay. Now let me jump into the question from the audience. This is from Dr. Sanjeev Bhatia. He's one of he's in our team in Mexico. He's from the University of Missouri in St. Louis, and he says you always have the chance to play the game by getting educated and staying ahead of the curve. Look at the issue of what's happening right now. Who has lost jobs during the COVID outbreak? The IT people seem to be in demand, and people in IT are still getting hired and sought after. So who has lost jobs during the COVID outbreak, and how are we going to deal with this, gentlemen? If you want, you can start, Avery.
Okay. So one of the contracts for my personal corporation is for Citi. I handle a number of Scrum teams there. If you haven't noticed yet, I have a number of jobs and I probably don't sleep much. But so this one in particular, we have to hire a couple hundred people over the next few months to a year for the global ATM transformation that's happening. First US, then rest of the place. Number of POCs would be pretty cool from there too. So it'll be novel from Citi, which will be new for that global bank. But hotels, IT and hotels are still letting people go. Product management, project developers, I think Airbnb's let go a lot of people, Uber, etc. So high tech isn't completely insulated. I think it was but within the week that we had the potential for a shutdown and the hotels started getting hit, one of the females I interviewed for a product manager role on my team. I mean, it's kind of difficult. You want to be able to hire somebody if you can tell they're passionate, but at the same time, if their skills don't match up as best as someone else's, and that someone else even has a job at that moment, from a business standpoint, you have to make a certain decision. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, it has hit a lot of people.
Yeah. So how about you, William? Who's losing their jobs, and what should we do about it? IT people are in demand, but I think we're all being hit hard with this. I mean, we had a contract kind of pulled out because of this, and our thoughts with the company. I mean, it's fine.
I mean, if you have a look at the startups around the world, there's only 10% that are selling to industries that aren't impacted by coronavirus. So those are logistics, retail, supermarket retail, health, and really kind of, I guess, finance. So I would say that anyone, there's 90%, right? 90% of startups are going to be struggling. 90% of companies are being impacted. So it is pretty widespread. I would say that there's going to be quite a shift in allocation of resource and where venture capital starts putting its money. What should we do about it? I mean, that's a hard one, right? New Zealand, our response was very different to everybody else's in the world. I mean, we went to a level 4 shutdown. We don't have any cases in the country anymore. That being said, we're going to see between 13 to 26% unemployment. Where do they go? I guess in short, I don't know. I don't have the answer. It's going to be a real mess.
Yeah. Awesome. It's a tough one. What do you think it's going to be like when we're make it out of this one? Are the way we're going to be working? Is it going to change? Are you guys going to do things different? Are you going to assemble your teams differently? Are you going to allow for things to work in a different way?
I mean, we've always had a fairly.
Are we adapting, or we're just coming back with?
Look, we've always allowed people to work from home. We generally limit it to a few days per month, but our output, if anything, has increased during this. Education has increased. I mean, you get a bunch of engineers who by and large are introverts and you let them stay at home, I mean, it's like a dream come true, right? So we don't want to stop that productivity. That being said, we've always valued having everybody in together because we have a really great team. Is it going to change how we do business? I mean, no. We're still hiring. We made 2 hires this week. We've got plans to hire another 13 by the end of this year. If anything, I think it's driven a huge amount of focus inside the business, and it's been really positive. We've had to revisit, our product development. We've cut a number of features. We are, building the bare bones and looking to extend life. And that's a mantra that we'll continue to bring through even after this. So I think it's brought a huge amount of focus to the entire company, which has been, a silver lining.
Right. Yeah. But you agree?
That one didn't come through.
It
was cutting out when you said the question.
So yeah, how are we adapting? Are we doing something different now when we come out of this one? How is the new working dynamics for you? Are they changing, or you're going back to the usual?
Yeah, not for me personally. I think this is just much like William said. This has been a bit of a dream, in a weird, bad, good way. I don't know how to exactly explain it. I've been stuck in my apartment for like 2 months. Hasn't been terrible in that we kind of picked up productivity a bit across a number of projects. But yeah, I mean, remote work's clearly happening in a lot of tech companies. They're going to have to think about how to integrate it further in the future. I hope they don't utilize it as a further mechanism for reduction of privacy, because I've seen a couple articles that are now saying that 6 feet distances could possibly be tracked in the workspace from a physical camera, which I think would be a little bit ridiculous. But it could be a business opportunity for Blue Sky. Don't want to be remembered for that.
Yeah. Okay. Now I have a question from Alex Lizama. It says, in which business is AI playing a more active role in the coming years? Online shopping like Amazon, video games, cell phone apps, etc.
I mean, if you have a look at online shopping, it still only accounts between 5 to 10% of all supermarket transactions. And the reason that it's working so well at the moment is because people aren't allowed to leave their homes, right? I think that there's going to be a redirection of AI towards things like logistics, supply chain, health, certainly. You have a look at things like finance, and then most, anything to do with contactless, right? So how do you not touch, how do you not touch things? And again, probably working from home, right? How do you remain productive throughout teams and in sync and aligned? Well, everyone is working remotely. So enabling remote work, I think, is going to be a big driver for AI. Yeah.
Okay. Great. How about you, Avery? What do you think the next what business is AI going to play a more active role in the coming years?
Biology. I think biology will be the largest change. Once we understand how to integrate chemicals across breeds of plants and or negate the current regulations of plant growth in certain soil types, we could turn a desert into a plush city. We could turn a human being. You can grow. Okay, so one of the experiments we're trying right now actually is growing human heart tissue on a spinach leaf. Like weird things are possible now. So once you could actualize some type of universal mechanism to crossbreed plants in a short time span, which, by the way, normally it's many months. If you do it through DNA strand printing, it could be as short as a few weeks, let alone days, if you have the process down completely. So very largely, biology, I think, will be affected.
Okay, great. Okay, all right, everybody, please remember to fill out the survey. That's going to be displayed on your screen in a little bit before we go. Todos, por favor, gracias por su atención. Esperamos que que por favor denos la oportunidad de servirles mejor. Les pedimos que llenen el cuestionario que se pondrá el código QR en la pantalla para que nos ayuden a traer a servicios de gente que sirva mejor a sus necesidades, ¿no? Entonces, muchas gracias. Well, with that, guys, I'd like to, first of all, thank you for your time. I know you guys are far away, but seem to be very close. But we thank you for your time, and we appreciate your hard work, and we appreciate your success, and thank you for being with us tonight. If there's anything you'd like to add, I'll give you a few minutes, William and Avery, to speak to our audience.
Yeah, look, thank you very much for having me, and yeah, all the best to everyone out there working on your projects. Treat this as a time to refocus and emerge out of it, I guess much stronger. So thank you.
Yeah, giant thank you from me too. Nice to meet you, William, sort of. Maybe we'll chat some other time too. Seems like we're in the same space a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
We sure will. Thank you. And please stay online, people, for the survey. Por favor, quédense en línea para la encuesta. Damos 5 minutos para eso. Thank you so much. So we go on a 5-minute break. Muy bien, muchas gracias a todos. Muy bien, muchas gracias a todos y todas por estar el día de hoy con nosotros. Estamos en AI México celebrando ya los 12 meetups que llevamos a todos ustedes, celebrando un año de que iniciamos esto, justamente en casa de ustedes. Y primero les queremos dar las gracias por su paciencia, por su lealtad y por su convicción de seguir aquí con nosotros. Creo que es muy importante el saber que la parte esencial de esta organización es el público y es la comunidad de ya más de 500 personas en 8 países, gente desde China, Pakistán, de todos lados nos ven, ¿no? Nos ven e interactúan con nosotros a diario. Entonces, estamos agradecidos con ustedes y estamos aquí para servirles. Recuerden que este es un evento en colaboración con deeplearning.ai, así que cuando se registran en la página del Meetup, también hay una liga para registrarse en una base de datos con ellos y les pedimos que se registren y recibirán, parece que, y si no lo reciben, me dicen para pedirlo, es un cupón para cursos, ¿no? De Deep Learning AI o Coursera. Esa lista ellos la comparten con nosotros y tenemos una lista compartida de todos los participantes, ¿no? de los meetups. Entonces, por favor, si necesitan un cupón extra o lo que sea, háganoslo saber, ¿no? En la descripción de este video va a estar un link para la encuesta. Pedimos, por favor, que lleguen que llenen la encuesta porque justamente buscamos que nutrirnos de la opinión y la necesidad que ustedes tengan y inquietudes y tratamos de encontrarle una solución a esas inquietudes, ¿no? Que espero les ayude a emprender un negocio, a realizar cualquier tarea que quieran realizar, ¿no? Entonces, muchas gracias a todos por participar, por ser tan activos. Le damos las gracias a todo el equipo de AI México que ha estado aquí presente desde el día número 1. El grupo ha crecido, tenemos mucha gente que está pidiendo colaborar con nosotros como voluntarios, infinitamente agradecidos con todos ustedes también. No podemos admitir a todos porque simplemente pues es mucha gente y mucha infraestructura que ocupamos, ¿no? Estamos también colaborando con empresas de manera de que con patrocinios, o sea, hay patrocinios de marca, entonces empresas que quieran involucrarse y apoyar estos esfuerzos que son puramente en pro de la educación, en pro de profesionalizar a la gente en materia en tecnologías emergentes, en inteligencia artificial, para todos ganar en esta gran oportunidad. Pueden participar y pueden patrocinar desde si quieren patrocinar café o sillas, como ya nos ha patrocinado gente, adelante, ¿no? Entonces, de nuevo, muchas gracias a todos ustedes. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us in our 12th edition of the AI Meetup. We're really thankful for your involvement throughout the year. We're celebrating the first year of events and activities of our community. I think all of our efforts are focused to satisfy the needs of an incredibly active community around the world that has been incredibly loyal, and we're incredibly thankful for having with us. We have people tuning into our meetups from China, Pakistan, all over Europe, Mexico, US, and we have members from all over the place. We have people who want to be volunteers in our organization, and we just can't house so many volunteers. But so again, we thank all of you for this. I'd like to make a point that we're not a business that is looking to build a fortune out of the AI era, but we're looking to build a strong workforce and a strong and well-educated society around AI. And so I think that's what's going to put us ahead of the game. And we welcome all of you for your thought, for your wishes and on all your input. We're receiving sponsorships by many companies, and we thank you for that. And if you are a business or a company that wants to get involved in helping us educate a society on how to make this the opportunity of our lifetime, please send us an email. We welcome you to in the team, and we can help you sponsor your brand. We can project your brand all over the world as one that is contributing to these efforts, which I think are truly speaking to the heart of every single member of AI Mexico that is scattered all over the world. So again, thanks a lot. This is 1 year of events that we've been having. We thank all of our industry partners. We will cater to your needs as you wish. So if you're one of those people, one of those industries who just can't really make sense of how to land AI in your industry, give us a call. There's no strings attached. We're here to help, and we have the best resources in the country and probably of the world that can serve your needs. And we're not in here to make $1 million in one day. We're here to pay. We're a social entrepreneurship project that is using AI as a tool to achieve prosperity in our communities of Mexico first, and then the rest of emerging economies. So thank you, and take care. Bye-bye.